Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. Hello. Are we all ready? We good? Okay.
Listen up!
Can we have everyone's attention? Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. And it is great to be here at Buffalo State, and I'm so thankful to have UUP and all of the unions here and all the representatives we have speaking today. My name is Jimmy Speaker. I'm the president of the United Student Government here at Buffalo State College. Thank you. Once again, I'd like to thank all the speakers we have joining us today, a diverse group from different backgrounds, different organizations and unions, as we know, which are the backbone of the working class of America. So thank them all for the work that they do. I'd also like to acknowledge Bill Benefanti, who is joining us. He is the Vice President of Government Relations representing President Conway Turner here at Buffalo State College, so give a round of applause for him. As I've spoken about before, this is a very important cause that we're all here to support today. As we all know, we are in the peak of New York State budgeting season, and of course, we're all here to support SUNY and UUP and the hospitals, which are well deserving of funding and full funding in this New Year's budget. Yes. As we all know, in previous years, there's been challenges getting full funding for SUNY and the appropriate funding. There's been a lot of austerity budgeting. There's been a lot of issues with the politics of it. But we are finally here campaigning for a year where Governor Hochul can decide to make New York State the leader in higher education across the map in this country. So we are very proud to be here for that. Yes. It's finally time to fully fund SUNY and give our students, our employees, and our unions the support that they need and the support that will grow our economy here in New York State, creating college graduates who will go on to earn other degrees, earn jobs, and earn greater opportunities to advance New York State as a whole. Other issues as well, closing the TAP gap, expanding the Afl-Cio scholarship, all the great work that UUP has advocated for, and I'm very thankful for all the work they have done on that. I would like to introduce now, representing UUP, the UUP president, Fred Kowal.
Nicely done. All right, nice job, Jimmy. Thanks a lot. I want to take this opportunity, since Jimmy does represent the students, I want to recognize all the students in the house today. The absolute worst part of being president of UUP is that I don't get to be in the classroom, and I miss y'all, and I'm glad to see you here standing up for yourselves and your future along with us. We need you for this fight. I've been told I got about 3 to 5 minutes. A lot can be said in 3 to 5 minutes, and actually a lot can happen. Actually, sorry, Bills fans, a lot can happen in 13 seconds. But you know, allow me to segue, right? Yes, because we all know what happened in overtime, right? Those rules suck, okay? And in a way, the idea that the Bills never got a chance to get the ball in overtime has kind of been like what it's been dealing with Andrew Cuomo's budgets for 11 years, and even before him, Governor Patterson for a couple of years. We never had a chance, okay? That's the reality of the austerity budgeting that Jimmy was talking about. And it is so bad, that if you just looked at where the SUNY budget was in 2007, all right, at the start of the Great Recession, if the state had just kept the funding there, that's all, no increase, just kept it where it was there without any cuts, we would have in SUNY $7 billion, that's billion with a B, dollars more for everything that we do. Imagine, do you think we would have more full-time faculty at Buff State to teach the classes you need to take? Do I hear a yes? Yeah? And how about in this day and age right now, how about the mental health counselors we need? You think we'd have more of those? And we're going to hear from one of our EOP students in a little bit. Do you think if we had those $7 billion, we'd have more EOP staff, more EOP students, more of an opportunity for success for more of our young people? Would that be the case too, you think? So that's what this fight is all about this year. Because for years and years, SUNY has been abandoned by the state government. We're a state university, a public university. We're supposed to be funded by public dollars, not by tuition and fees. But that's what's been happening. Is that right? No, that's not right. No. And so this year, what we are saying in UUP, and for that matter, SUNY's saying the same thing, and students are saying the same thing. No more burden on students. No more tuition increases, no more increases in fees, even though it's happening across town. I've heard about that at UB, okay? And they're blaming negotiated salary increases? Please, come on. And so when we're saying we need $100 million in what's called operating funds for SUNY, that is all about making sure students can get the courses you need, that you can get your work done in 4 years, you can graduate on time, and you won't have crushing student debt. And yes, the entire state will grow and flourish. Does that sound like a good idea? $100 million, we just heard from the state comptroller. State's got like $20 billion to spend. They can find $100 million in the seat cushions in the governor's office. Come on, this is not a lot of money. We need more. We need it, yes, and thanks, Jimmy, for mentioning the SUNY hospitals, life-saving institutions where the next generation of healthcare professionals are trained. Everybody's talking about how there's a shortage of nurses, of doctors, all of these things. Well, let's put the money into the medical schools, into the teaching hospitals. Then we will get those professionals we need, the people who kept us alive during COVID. Absolutely. So, you know, there's been some talk, and we've heard it in the halls of the legislature. There's talk about, you know, this program some folks are proposing, a New Deal for CUNY. We heard about the Green New Deal. Well, as a, you know, part-time historian, I'm a political scientist. You know, actually, citing the New Deal is not necessarily the best thing. The New Deal for people of African-American heritage was kind of the screw deal, okay? And I'm not too sure if I like a New Deal. What I know I want is a fair deal. What I want is a good deal, a damn good deal for SUNY, for those of us who teach and for those of us who are the students. That's what we need. Because if we can get the resources, we can get more students in, we can graduate more, we get more citizens of the world who are enlightened, energized, and committed to making the planet one where we don't have authoritarians attacking peaceful nations to take away their democracy, and we also have the ways by which we can fight racism and the climate crisis. That's what we're facing as a species. We've got to do it, and it starts with the money this year right now. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Fred, for all those great comments. And I just wanted to echo the one thing you said that I think is really a great point. You know, the pandemic has presented so many challenges to America as a whole, but we look at students and the dropping enrollment rates all across the country, and we look at the medical field and all the challenges they're facing. If you have that money available, wouldn't it make sense to make an investment into those fields to give people more of a reason to go to college and SUNY where they can get the best education in the country? Wouldn't it make sense to make that investment to have students go to the SUNY hospitals and stay here in New York State? So that money is staying in New York State, so they're building their communities, they're investing here in New York State, they're starting businesses here in New York State, they're contributing to New York. This investment would stay all in New York. This investment would be smart and a great way to grow New York State economy, to grow our employees, and to grow the workers all across this country that have always given us so much and have always been the backbone of what keeps America moving. And next, I would like to introduce a strong supporter of unions and workers all across Erie County. I was proud to intern for him my sophomore year. The Erie County Executive, Mark Poloncarz.
Thank you, James, and it is no surprise to me to see him in this position here with the student government, because he did intern for me, and I could see a future leader in our community in James Speaker. So let's give a round of applause for all that James has done. It comes down as simple as this. We're talking about our future. We're talking about our community's future. I just came back from Washington, D.C., and I was talking to some of my colleagues about the investments that are going on in their communities. And we have to be able to keep up with those communities. This is not the old system that it used to be, where we can just think we're New York. We're the best. Excelsior, as we like to hear from the former governor. But they didn't put their money where their mouth was. I see that not only with what's happening with SUNY, but with the community colleges as well that are part of SUNY. Last year, Erie County increased our maintenance of effort to the SUNY Erie, the Erie Community College, to prevent a tuition increase for students. It's time that New York State does the same for the whole SUNY system. We're competing not just with our friends in North Carolina and California, but we're competing against the entire world. Individuals, Chinese send a lot of students. I'm not a Buff State grad, I'm sorry, I'm a University of Buffalo grad. But there's a lot of Chinese students that are sent to the University of Buffalo and other state schools, including at Buff State. Yes, their country is paying full freight, but what about the rest of us? Because we educate them in our country, but then they go away. And we've got to be able to compete with those communities. So they'll come here to Buffalo, and they'll educate their students in our community, and then they'll send them, they'll go back home to China or other locations across the world. And what happens? We're now competing against the individuals that we're educating in our community. Don't we also need to educate everybody in our community so that we can continue to compete on a global scale? So to my friends in Albany, and this is not just about the governor, but the Senate and Assembly, they need to include in their one-house budgets increases for SUNY as well as the community college system. Our community college in Erie County is truthfully at a crisis point, and it can't be just solved solely by dollars from Erie County and solely by the tuition dollars from students. The state needs to come up and do its own. And we need to address those internal issues that exist, and we also need the state to do the same thing with the complete SUNY system. We talk about how our system is the best. Well, is it the best when we're never really funding it to the level that it should be? No, it can't be the best if we're not funding it at the level that it should be at. So I call to our friends in state government, the governor and the members of the Senate and Assembly, restore opportunity, restore SUNY, increase the funding to the level that it should be at. And then we can truly say, Excelsior, we are the best. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, County Executive Poloncarz, for those great words. And you make so many great points about the investment and the fact that students often, they'll come to New York State and they'll get the education, but it doesn't stay in New York State. They don't always stay, or they find a reason to move and whatnot. And we've always left our own children behind. And we've always said, well, we'll do it in the budget next year, we'll do it in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. What we're saying now is that we need the money now. We saw through the COVID-19 pandemic that the time to invest in the social infrastructure of America is now, not later, not when the politics seem right and it wouldn't impact the elections. It's time to do it now because we have suffered enough and students have already sacrificed enough. Employees especially have already sacrificed enough. And it's time to invest so that we can restore those opportunities for further growth to make sure that New York State maintains itself as a leader, if not the leader, of higher education here in the United States. With so many other states competing and offering different tuition incentives and tax incentives for getting a degree in their state, it's time that New York State takes the money that we've had, and frankly always had, and apply it to SUNY and all of our schools and our hospitals as well, strengthening our unions and strengthening our workers, encouraging us to be the national leader in education, in labor rights, labor solidarity, and the union movement as a whole. Next, I'd like to present from the Western New York Afl-Cio Area Labor Federation, Peter DeJesus.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. All right, we don't have to do that a second time. Well, before I get going, I do want to recognize some of my brothers and sisters in solidarity here. I see we have the stagehands, IATSE Local 10 represented. DC 4's in the house. All right, we have allied organization. I see Coalition for Economic Justice is in the building. Reverend Mark Blue, president of the NAACP. My sister in solidarity from the New York State Afl-Cio, Angela Blue. And of course, a gentleman who needs no introduction, my predecessor, President Emeritus of the Western New York Area Labor Federation, Richard Lipsitz. So folks, those who know me know I usually like to wing it, but I actually got a speech today. So as president of the Western New York Area Labor Federation, Afl-Cio, I'm proud to be here and stand with my brothers and sisters at UUP as we call on the state to increase funding for SUNY, $200 million to be added to the state budget for our campuses, our SUNY hospitals across New York State. Western New York is home to many SUNY campuses, from Brockport to Geneseo, Fredonia, UB, and yes, Buff State. These campuses contribute to the social and cultural fabric of our region. SUNY campuses are the lifeblood of so many upstate communities. They are the job centers, job creators, and are the economic engines that will bring New York State back from this COVID-19 pandemic. As you've heard from the speakers before me, when New York invests in SUNY, that money comes back into our communities. SUNY faculty and staff are homeowners and taxpayers, and our graduating students, they're the future doctors, teachers, entrepreneurs, and yes, government leaders. So the question is this: will we as a state continue to ask our SUNY hospitals, institutions of higher education, and future leaders to solve the complex issues of our time with only well wishes and verbal support? No. Or will we finally provide them with the financial support that will arm them with the tools needed to get the job done? So the answer is clear. As a state, it's time to put up. It's time to ensure that we give our students, give our future leaders, give our staff, faculty, the tools needed to get the job done, period. Raise the budget, fund our future, and let's keep Buffalo a SUNY town. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, for all those great words and the work you do with the Afl-Cio here in Western New York. Next, I'd like to introduce from the UUP, the Vice President for Academics, Alissa Karl.
Hi everyone, I'm Alissa Karl. I'm UUP's Vice President for Academics, and my home campus is Brockport, about 40 miles down the road. I'm an English professor there. And did somebody just give a shout out to the English professor? All right, okay, I'll grade your paper. All right, so I first want to say how thrilled I am to just be in real life with all of you. It just feels wonderful to be together, and I'm so glad that we can be. Now, anyone here who's been in the classroom, you know that students don't remember every single thing you say in class, right? And that's fine. What that means is that if you're teaching, you just need to get to the point. So if there's one takeaway from my brief remarks here, here's the one takeaway, okay? $100 million in operating funding for SUNY campuses. I'll say it one more time. If I had a whiteboard back here, I would write it. $100 million in operating funding for SUNY campuses. Yes. So let's break that down a little bit, right? We at the comprehensives, like Brockport, where I teach, at the university centers, we educate students from all walks of life, right? From all kinds of backgrounds, part-timers, full-timers, traditional, non-traditional, and we need to meet a full spectrum of needs that our students have, right? And I got to SUNY in 2007, so that was right before the Great Recession hit. And so I have seen across my career the cinching and the tightening of the belt since the Great Recession, right? We've all seen it. We've seen positions go unfilled. We've seen programs and resources cut to the bone. And we have scrimped and we have stretched to give students what they need. but our campuses have been left adrift, right? We've been left adrift to make ends meet with tuition and fees. But we need the state to step back in, not just to give students their bare needs, but to give people of New York the education that they deserve, right? And here is why we need $100 million, right? Here's what it covers. Faculty who are around more than semester to semester. So we are a consistent presence to support our students. We need counselors, tutors, advisors, student health staff to meet the full spectrum of academic, health, and social needs of our students. We need access to childcare for students, faculty, and staff, so that we can all do the work that we need to do on our campuses. We need support for our systems and our facilities so that, quite frankly, our campuses work, right? We need support for our res life directors who quite literally live with our students and meet their needs 24/7. We need financial aid counselors. We need admissions counselors to help students get their logistical tasks done, right? When students don't get this support, they don't just struggle. They leave and they don't come back, right? And so we need the state to recommit to our mission to restoring the public good of higher education, and we need how much? $100 million in operating aid for SUNY. Why not, right? Let's up the ante. It's so great to see you all here today. Thank you for being here. And I next want to introduce Yanick Jenkins, who is the director of EOP here at Buffalo State.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yanick Jenkins, Director of EOP at Buffalo State. When SUNY catches a cold, EOP catches a flu. Okay, and that's what's been going on. Our students are surviving. Our students are not only taking care of themselves, but they have to take care of one another, and they also have to take care of folks at home. This is what we're dealing with. EOP provides just an access, where we provide access to students to get a college education. We provide access to higher ed to students who otherwise wouldn't have really made it to college, otherwise wouldn't have really made it here. I'm a former EOP student, so EOP provided access for me to not only survive but to thrive. And I just want to thank UUP. Where's Fred? Oh, I want to thank you, Fred. I want to thank UUP and everybody in here for always supporting opportunity programs, because you understand what works for EOP works for everybody else. What works for EOP works for everybody else. Before I bring up our student who's going to share his story, Jadell Joseph, I'm going to bring him up, but before I do so, I just want to let you know what we're looking for in opportunity programs. Governor Hochul, she put $10 million, well, 10%, I'm sorry. She increased the EOP by 10%, but what we're looking for is an additional 10%, because that 20% would take us over where it is we need to be, because these students already are behind the playing field. EOP is designed to level that playing field. And right now, with COVID-19, the way it has been, the way it's affected our students, we're starting way behind the playing field. So we need you, we need your support, and we thank you. And I bring up Jadell Joseph, one of our most active EOP students. He's a business administration major. And whenever we need him, which is a lot, because we've been starting our advocacy work. He's been meeting with legislatures. He's been meeting with, just whenever we ask him to do something, he helps, because he knows what EOP has done for him. So I want you to welcome him. He's a graduating senior. He's going to tell you this, but he's going to take a year off to decide what exactly he's going to do, and then he's going to come back and go to receive his master's. So he's a hardworking student, and I just want you to welcome him. Jadell?
Good afternoon, everyone. I like to thank you all for making this possible, because without you all, I'm not sure where I would be in life, to be honest with you. My name is Jadell Joseph. I'm on track to graduating this May with hopes of pursuing an MBA degree in the future. But this wasn't always my plan for life. EOP in Buffalo State has changed my life tremendously. Starting from the first day I stepped foot on this campus, I grew up in Queens, New York. In my neighborhood, it didn't really breed success, to be honest with you. No one I knew was coming to Buffalo State, and not many people I knew was going to college. I came here without knowing anyone, but the EOP family welcomed me, and the Buffalo State community as well, from the day that I stepped foot on this campus, and they provided resources to me, they educated me, and helped me in ways that I didn't even know that I needed help personally. EOP has helped me in Buffalo State. They have given me scholarships. They helped me to participate in the National Student Exchange Program, which I was able to meet incredible people from different parts of the world. It has opened my mind tremendously. It allowed me to see the world in a different perspective from the community where I grew up in, which was just one block and 20 buildings. There's an entire beautiful world out there filled with amazing people. In communities where I'm from, the system was like it was designed to fail us, but EOP is rescuing people just like myself, giving us opportunities to make something out of life. During the last pandemic, a lot of lives were impacted, including my own. But anytime I contacted my EOP counselor seeking advice or guidance, he responded and guided me correctly and informed me about scholarships or opportunities that might apply to me, or that I might be eligible to apply for. All while him and his family were going through the pandemic as well. I often tell myself that my degree has his name on it, because without him, I don't know where I would be or what I would be doing in life. EOP has changed my life and my story. It's putting many, like myself and others, on track to graduating, breaking family cycles, and allowing us to be someone in this world. Today, we're asking for the governor's support and fund to help all SUNY campuses and EOP students to create a world-class affordable education, because education will allow us and America to advance in this world. This support will change and bless lives for many people just like myself. Thank you.
Thank you all for those great words, and I just want to take a time out to say, myself personally as USG president, students like Jadell and the story that he just shared, that's why I'm so damn proud to be a USG president and so damn proud to be here with the UUP, all the unions, fighting so that students can have an opportunity like that at Buffalo State, keeping the money here in New York State, building their communities, building themselves up, and accomplishing a dream that at times it felt like the world didn't make possible for them. I'm a first-generation student myself, and that was very moving, and thank you for that again. I want to give you another round of applause. Next, I'd like to introduce Amanda Geiger. She's here, an MD student and a president of the Polity Student Government.
Hello, my name is Amanda Geiger. I'm a second-year medical student and current Polity president at the Jacobs School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences. It goes without saying that the students are incredibly grateful for our beautiful school in downtown Buffalo. The brand new building is something I often hear mentioned when my classmates are talking about why they chose UB. I don't know what else could beat those views of the lake from the 7th floor anatomy lab. These updated facilities were our next step on our journey to improve. Unfortunately, as most things do, this has come at a steep price. The university is currently paying $12.26 million a year on the mortgage for Jacobs. $12.26 million. An increase in SUNY funding could help us free up this money to continue on our journey to improve. We constantly hear about the shortage of physicians, especially over the last couple of years. But the road to medical school is still filled with enormous financial barriers. While the talks of forgiving $50,000 in federal debt per student has made us more hopeful, this number still dwarfs in comparison to the average $180,000 of debt faced by public medical school graduates. Imagine what an extra $100 million in SUNY funding could do to offset student debt. Almost any student will tell you that the final decision on where to attend school comes down to cost of attendance. Increasing the amount of financial aid available to our students could be key in making UB more competitive, especially as top-tier programs like NYU and Columbia become tuition-free. Another key factor in becoming a more competitive institution is increasing the diversity of our students and faculty. Students want to attend schools where they feel represented. We lose out on quality faculty members if we aren't able to give them what they are worth, and in turn on students who aren't able to see themselves in our institution. This budget could go far in recruiting, hiring, and retaining faculty members that better reflect our students and the communities that we serve. Finally, if you ask any student what they'd like to add to the Jacob School, almost all will tell you how badly they want a gym. We constantly learn about the benefits of exercise, and we counsel our patients on how they should incorporate more of it into their lives, but the students don't have access to any kind of wellness center on the downtown campus. Why should our patients listen to us if we aren't practicing what we preach? It's exciting to see the progress that UB has made, and even more exciting to envision how much we can accomplish down the road. But those improvements will keep being pushed down the line if we cannot fund them. I'd like to address the legislators in the room. You are investing in the future of New York State. When that April 1st budget comes out, please include the extra $100 million that SUNY so desperately needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Next, I'd like to introduce from the Buffalo Central Labor Council, Ms. Denise Abbott.
Thanks very much. I'm glad I got an opportunity to speak. I am not just a union leader, I'm also a nurse, and I'm also a mother. So I stand here saying that this funding is so important, not just as a union leader. It is going to add to our roles, and we love to see that, but as a nurse, her sign says it perfectly. We need to make it accessible, and we need to make it affordable. I work with a lot of med students who are burdened with debt beyond belief, and they're leaving. They get their education here, or they're not even staying here. They're going on further and getting education elsewhere. They're burdened with such debt, it hasn't been said here yet, but there's students that live in their cars. There's students that are here and running out the door because they have not one job, but two jobs. They're not sleeping well, they're not taking care of themselves. We need this funding for these students, and I say it as a nurse and as a mom. I have a child with college debt that's through the roof, and it's sad that I can't help her better. So this funding is so important for each one of those reasons. Faculty, we need consistent faculty to teach these students so that they can go on